Hello and welcome to the Silverman Show. I'm your host Ilene, and on this week's program, our guests discuss Paynes Prairie Preserve State Park, its significant history, numerous activities, volunteer opportunities, important friend support, and the upcoming 50+1 anniversary celebration as Florida's first state preserve. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Thanks for joining us for our program. I'm delighted to introduce my guest, Heather Gostin, Assistant Park Manager, Paynes Prairie Preserve State Park. And Heather, it's wonderful to have you here, and I want to thank you for the visit, delightful, informative visit that I had with you at the park.
Oh, thank you. It was an absolute pleasure having you out.
Thank you very much. I learned so much, and am very pleased that we're able to give this knowledge to our viewers. And congratulations on the 50+1, history of this park. But roll us back a little ways and let us learn some of that significant history.
Certainly, certainly. So Paynes Prairie became the first state preserve in September of 1970. And the way we celebrate birthdays in the Florida Park Service is by acquisition date. So first acquisition, the majority of what is now known as Paynes Prairie Preserve State Park was acquired from the Camp family. And the Camp family had Paynes Prairie as a ranching operation. And if you know anything about cows, cows don't swim so well.
Not I've seen.
Not very well. Sea cows are a different story. But so they diverted water away from the Prairie Basin to have maximum grazing.
Makes sense.
And so once the state acquired the land, our goal is to bring that water back through Paynes Prairie, because ultimately the water that you drink, the water that your viewers drink, that comes through Paynes Prairie down into the Floridan aquifer through Alachua. Very important. And so this 22,000 acre preserve supports a 120,000 acre watershed.
Oh, I can see that is impressive right there.
Mm-hmm.
But you did explain that it was sort of a series of sinkholes in a sense. How does that work into it?
Correct. So when you think about Paynes Prairie, if we're flying over the Prairie Basin, and the Prairie Basin is the middle of the park. Paynes Prairie is kind of like the Grand Canyon. You can't drive through it. You have to go around it. And so we're taking a trip on this saucer edge. In the middle, where it sinks down, that's where these old remnant sinkholes have kind of fallen in. Now, we do still have these beautifully formed sinkholes with ravines up on the north end of the park where Alachua Trail is.
Right.
So when you're hiking on Alachua Trail and you're looking up, there are sinkholes up there. It's pretty neat.
It is. And you've got a lot of trails, about 7.
We certainly do, yes. So again, Paynes Prairie has multiple entrances that you can go into. So folks often say, how do I get to Alachua from here? That's not possible if you're on the south end of the park. So our main entrance is located off of US Highway 441, and that's where we have a spectacular visitor center.
Oh, yes.
Wonderful exhibits where you can
I
learn all about
enjoyed
the
it.
park. A beautiful observation tower with the
awesome.
best view of the prairie.
50 feet up.
Yes, 50 feet up, best view, horses, bison, alligators, all kinds of really spectacular viewing. We also have a 50-site campground with both RV sites and tent sites. A really nice recreation area with
Right.
pavilions for a nice picnic, a fishing pier, boat ramp, and all of these wonderful trails. So
I mean, there's so much for people.
no
Yes.
shortage of fun at Paynes Prairie.
Yes. And you make it very easy. Tell me about admission or annual pass.
Certainly, certainly. So if you're coming out for a one-time visit,
Mhm.
I always say bring a friend because 2 to 8 people in a vehicle is $6. If you're solo, it's $4. But the best bang for your buck, if you love Florida state parks as much as I do, the state park annual pass is a great bargain. Family pass is $120, and so about $10 a month you can get into 175 state parks and trails.
Just such opportunity to be a part of the real Florida.
Certainly.
What we acknowledge is our natural heritage here. And what about effects of COVID? How has that been for the park?
So we've actually seen an increase in our visitation, and we're seeing that around the state in state parks because it's a safe way to get out, spend time with your family. We've seen a lot of new campers.
Oh, that's excellent.
It's really neat. So you see a lot of folks who maybe it's their first time setting up a tent, but
they get advice.
They get advice. So it's a great way to get out, spend time with your family, see these beautiful places. We're creating a lot of nature lovers during this COVID period. So if there's a silver lining, we found it.
Right. I think so. Yes, you did. And there's still so much more to cover, to talk about. We're just going to take a quick break. Stay with us. We'll be right back. We're back talking about Paynes Prairie Preserve State Park, and I'm pleased to introduce Tracy Johnson, Park Services Specialist. And Tracy, it is great to have you join us too.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, certainly. And you know, Heather has given us a good sense of the park and its history, but what drew you to Paynes Prairie? How did you get involved?
So I got involved with Paynes Prairie a little bit different. I started as a volunteer, and I was a campground host 2 summers ago and fell absolutely in love with the park. It's such a beautiful place. And then I was approached by Heather, and I started working part-time, and then an opportunity came for me to become a full-time park ranger, which is a childhood dream of mine. So it's come full circle, and it's wonderful.
What a great opportunity. I love knowing that. I think everyone I came across on my visit, they all love, they share, like with you, a true, genuine love of the park.
Yes.
And that shines through. And it makes such a difference when, with guests and people who are coming there. And so there's so many things that you can do. And it does take a number of volunteers, but share with us some of the fun opportunities, the activities at the park.
Sure. So our interpretive season runs from October to May.
Okay.
And so during that time, we have lots of different opportunities. It's not always going out on a crazy strenuous hike.
Okay.
So we have something for
Something for
everyone.
everyone, right.
Yeah, so
I
we have
like
something
that.
for everyone. So a nice fun thing on Saturday mornings, we have coffee with the ranger.
Okay.
So you can just come, share a cup of coffee, and learn a little bit about the park. And so that's a lot of fun, and a lot of people do come to that. We do have a hike called the Rim Ramble Hike that occurs at Lachua
Interesting.
Trail.
Yes.
And it's on a part of the park that's not normally open to the public. So it's a very special kind of, I like to say, behind the scenes treat.
Right.
Then we have our interpretive trailer that was donated by our friends at Paynes Prairie group. And that's at Lachua Trail and can give you great information about the trail and what you can see, the
Right.
birds, the animals. And so that's a lot of fun for people to go to as well. And we have our beautiful visitor center.
Oh, yes, which of course the Friends, group has made such a difference too.
Absolutely.
But, yes.
So we have that. We also have Living History with William Bartram. So we have someone that comes in character as William Bartram and tells the story of the prairie from the 1700s, which
Right.
is also a lot of fun to see.
Which seems to still be, it's still what he saw. It's still there.
Yes.
It's untouched. It's the real Florida, as we're saying.
Absolutely.
And I think that's something that draws people.
Absolutely, I agree. And we also have special events, like Alachua Astronomy Club will have
Yeah.
stargazing nights where
Yes.
people can come, use their telescopes and see the beautiful stars that shine over the prairie. Then in December, we'll be having holidays on the prairie that'll be what holidays were like in the early 1800s at Paynes Prairie.
What great opportunities. Okay, now how do you get involved as a volunteer?
So as a volunteer, we can always use great
More
volunteers.
people.
Always use more people. So what you can do is go to volunteer.floridastateparks.org and click on Get Involved.
Ah.
And there's many opportunities. You can work in the visitor center. You can work in the ranger station. You can go out in the field with a ranger and help them with a project. We use people for different projects around the park as
Right.
far as the resource management, trail keeping, and then in our visitor center as well.
Oh, so there's many opportunities, and then you could segue from one to another. I'm sure people get more and more involved and take on more and more volunteer opportunities. That it grows, and it's like your enthusiasm is contagious. One can clearly see that you love this park and all it offers.
I do, and as my boss likes to say, I don't work a day.
No,
I
because you
absolutely
enjoy it
love
so
it,
much.
yes.
Oh, that's the best of all. And we just have a few more moments, but what would you share to our viewers about this important park?
Paynes Prairie is probably one of these unknown
Yes.
places that you can actually take a step back and breathe. And you don't have to be caught up in anything, and you can kind of forget about the craziness that's going on in the world right now
Right.
and just enjoy nature and see the beauty that is there.
Oh, perfectly said. Thank you very much for expressing those feelings. I think anyone who steps into the park at any of the entrances will take that away, and it's very important. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Well, it's a true pleasure, and I look forward to seeing you at that 50+1 anniversary celebration we're still going to talk about. Stay with us. We'll be right back. We're talking about Paynes Prairie Preserve State Park, and I'm pleased to introduce my guest, Jeffrey Forbes, President, Friends of Paynes Prairie. And Jeffrey, thank you very much for joining us and telling us more about the Friends organization and the park itself.
You're more than welcome. I'm happy to be here, and I'm glad that you invited us.
Oh, I'm learning so much, and with every guest, I can appreciate the park even more.
Sure.
And certainly that's what the Friends group is all about, supporting the park. So tell us about the Friends organization.
Sure. Well, Friends of Paynes Prairie Incorporated is a 501c3 not-for-profit. We turned 36 years old this year, and our mission is to support the mission of the state park and its staff. And the way that we do that is by doing extensive fundraising. When we fundraise, we are pumping those monies right directly back into the state park, back into
Where it needs
Paynes
to
Prairie.
be.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, excellent.
So some of those funds might go into infrastructure, they may go into equipment purchases, they may go into events that are going on at the state park.
Wow.
We do things like build the walkways that you walk on.
Oh,
If you go over to
essential.
if you go over to Lachua Trail and walk those boardwalks were put together by funds that came from the Friends organization.
So you were very essential.
We are.
And tell me about the visitor center, because I know you've made a huge difference.
Oh yeah,
in
the
that. Yeah.
visitor center is
That's your- yeah.
wonderful. It's the creme de la creme right now.
Exactly.
The visitor center was built in 1976. When you approach it, you'll notice that it was designed in a very particular way, and that design is to look like a sandhill crane
It's so awesome.
landing on the prairie.
Right.
It has a center backbone and then two wings. Well, the problem is that until a couple of years ago, the exhibits in the 1976 Visitor Center looked like 1976.
Yes, okay, yes.
They had become very
It's
dated.
taking us back in time, but not in a way we wanted.
That's exactly right. So they become very dated, and we want to, the Friends group, wanted to help interpret the park in its best face, and what we needed to do was update it.
Right.
So we raised money through a campaign we called Heart of the Prairie, specifically to remodel the visitor center. And the first phase of that was to remodel the footprint. So we took away some walls, we opened the space up, we turned what was a balcony into interior space, and that was phase one. Phase two was to take all of the existing exhibits away and to bring in fresh and new. So when
no
you
wonder they're so great. Yeah.
yeah, when you go into the visitor center today, there are new murals, there are new exhibits, there is a new theater,
Right.
and so it's all very fresh.
It really gives you the history.
It does, and it's
Yeah.
very fresh, and it interprets the park in the way that we want it to.
Oh, yes, and it's definitely a launching point for people who want to understand the park and its history.
Oh, absolutely.
It sets the pace for you. And then you've got the observation tower.
Exactly.
Right there. And so well done. Even though sadly, you've not been able to have some of the events you would have as a Friends group because of COVID and the pandemic, but, you know.
Yeah, that's true. As a not-for-profit supporting the state park, we have come through the pandemic fairly well.
Good.
We have many donors who are very supportive of the organization. And
Yes.
I'd like to mention a few of them.
Please, I want you to.
Very specifically supporting the Heart of the Prairie project at the Visitor Center were the Felburn Foundation, the Lastinger Family Foundation, the Jack and Irma Hoenstra Foundation, David and Donna Beach, Elizabeth Stakenborg was one of our donors, David Carr and Peggy Carr, his wife,
Yes.
who owned the Pearl Country Store down in
Yes,
Micanopy.
I've been there.
And then also the Ruffino family, who own the Blue Highway Pizzeria down in
More good
Micanopy
people
as
in our
well.
community, yeah.
And also Visit Gainesville, Alachua County
Yes.
helped us a great deal. So
Excellent, they're important. And how can others like myself and our viewers, how can we get involved?
that is an excellent question. So we are always looking for folks to volunteer with the Friends organization. The simplest way to do that is to go to prairiefriends.org.
Perfect.
That's our website. And there you can donate, you can volunteer, and importantly, you can become a member of Friends of Paynes Prairie.
Excellent. All important ways to keep the Friends group going and to keep the park as moving forward for many, many years to come.
Absolutely.
And Jeffrey, thank you for the important work you and the Friends group are providing for the park and for just your appreciation of this wonderful part of our community.
We appreciate you having us.
Thank you. We value you.
Thank you so much.
Stay with us. We'll be right back. We're talking about Paynes Prairie Preserve State Park 50+1 anniversary celebration. And welcome back, Heather. I'm pleased you're here to tell us about this special event coming up.
So we are so excited to be celebrating our 50th plus one anniversary.
Yes.
So last year would have been our 50th, and last year also was the 85th anniversary for the Florida State Parks as a system as a whole.
Oh.
So there were several parks that would have been celebrating 50
Right. We would have
years.
had a lot going on except that we had the pandemic in the way.
Exactly. So this year we decided we don't turn down a party at
No.
Paynes Prairie, so we're going to have a big celebration.
50+1 just gives you more to celebrate.
Exactly. So we are being safety conscious and mindful. So all of the events are going to be outdoors, with the exception of a
Excellent.
few things. So we have a really neat fire and flora hike with our biologist and one of our
wow.
volunteers. So we have a morning hike and an afternoon hike. We're going to have a kids fishing clinic, which will be great to help teach kids how to fish. So that'll be out on Lake Waber.
Oh, you're going all over. This is
All
great. Yeah,
over the
right.
park, so you can really explore. We'll have a cracker cowpoke camp, so
Yes.
with a cracker cow and horses, and kind of show you what that Florida lifestyle is
With-
like.
Right, a little bit of Dudley Farm there, okay.
That type of, yep. Some junior ranger activities for the kiddos. So a really neat hike with some cool educational stations that they'll be able to learn about the different animals and plants that they can find.
Yes.
hmm And then we'll have fire equipment for wildland firefighting and a fire demonstration in the afternoon that you can come check out.
Oh, I gotta spread that word, okay, yes.
And then Lars Anderson
Oh,
will be joining
right.
us for a book signing throughout the day. And then we'll also be having a special panel with former and present park managers and talking about how the park has changed over the years.
Giving
and
a perspective of the history.
Exactly. So it's a past, present, and future discussion. So we'll talk about
excellent.
where the park has come and where it's going. So we're really excited.
And you put a lot of work into this, I know. Tell me the date again.
So it's Sunday, September 26th.
Okay.
And all of the event activities are happening on the south end of the Prairie, that Micanopy entrance.
Okay, that you talked about before, so we don't want to send somebody to the wrong side.
Exactly.
Right.
Plenty
And
of
is there-
alligators at Lachua, but they won't be celebrating with us.
Right. And what time frame?
So 9 a.m. to about 5 p.m.
Okay, excellent. Now, is there a cost involved for attending, or how does that work out?
Just regular park admission, and then
All
everything else will be
activities?
free. Yes.
Yes, free of charge. I love it. I love it. I know you, as I said, this is going to take a lot of, I'm thinking about all those volunteers. Going to take a lot of people to keep all this going. You've got a lot of plans.
Most certainly. Fortunately, we've got great staff, great volunteers. Everybody's got assignments, so you'll be able to come on out, see your favorite park ranger, see your favorite volunteers. Everybody's really looking forward to it.
Well, now, and we're thinking about there'll be activities, as you said, also at that wonderful visitor center that Jeffrey was explaining that has so much to offer. It truly does. And when you were talking earlier in our show about the history and explaining it, it's really fascinating. And yet, you're going to reference William Bartram at this event. Kind of tell me, because what he saw is what we're still seeing.
Exactly.
Thankfully.
Yes. So one of the really neat things that we're going to have at this celebration is a rededication of the visitor center with a ribbon cutting, and then we have a new film that features the Prairie, and it's a beautiful film, and it really immerses you into parts of the Prairie. If you don't want to hop up out of your seat and run out and check it out for yourself, I don't know, but so we will be premiering that film, and then that'll be available to the visitors to view from 1 p.m. on after that.
Oh, excellent. Well, I am looking forward to it, and I think it is a wonderful community event. And I just feel like we just have a few more moments, but the real Florida, what is your feelings? Because I know they run deep.
Yes.
Yes.
So the real Florida to me is, it's that the smell of the Prairie Basin, it's that dewy morning air, it's going out and getting down and looking at beautiful wildflowers. It's knowing that we have 22,000 acres surrounded by city of Gainesville, and you can still feel like you're away from it all. It's just it's a special feeling that you can't replicate. So why would you try? Come on out.
Right. Well said, Heather. Thank you. And to all our guests, I truly appreciate all of their valued information. Thank you very much. And I hope I will see you out on the 50+1 anniversary celebration of Paynes Prairie Preserve State Park. So glad you tuned in, and I hope you'll join us next time. Take care.